Wait a minute. I thought you were a big star. I thought you were one of the reasons, or perhaps in your own mind, you were the reason that people were actually paying attention to the WNBA dump. I thought you were taking on the responsibility of growing the game of pretend basketball. I mean, it's not like I'm making this up. I'm simply going off of things that Angel Reese has said in the not so distant past. And now you don't want to speak to the media? You don't want to publicize your not so treasured league? You don't want to expose yourself and your league to the mainstream? Not only that, the diva of dump divas, Cathy Engelbert, in the WNBA front office, they are changing the rules to protect you? What the hell's going on here? If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let me ask you something. Let's pretend for a second that we created and funded the production of a hit show like Jersey Shore. I'm not talking about the painfully boring reboot that no one gives a shit about. I'm talking about the original Jersey Shore that was pulling 7-8 million viewers on MTV. We have just wrapped production on season 2. It's set to premiere here in a few weeks. Naturally, we need the cast to go on a press tour, a promotion tour, especially the stars. MTV, they organized this press tour. They booked the cast on all the painful shows. Mornings, they had them with the Yentas on The View. Mid-afternoon, they've got them appearing on some useless show on satellite radio. Early evening, it's Entertainment Tonight. Is that show still on the air? Late nights, MTV has booked the cast for an interview with the insufferable Jim Kimmel. The real stars on Jersey Shore, it was Mike Sorrentino, who oddly referred to himself as the Situation, and Snookers, the cute little Italian girl who's engaged in a heated Botox battle with the Yentas on The View. Now, what do you think would happen if Snookers and the Situation decided that they just didn't want to go on this press tour and they were refusing to speak to the media? What do you think MTV would have done about that? The network would have refused to pay him. Most people don't care about the other cast members on Jersey Shore. No one gives a shit about Donnie. No one cares about Vinny. People didn't care about Sammy Pop-Tart or whatever the hell she called herself. The media cared about the Situation and Snooki and maybe Pauly D. If they had refused to speak to the media to promote the show, they would breach their contract with MTV and the network. They would be well within their rights to hold their money. So why isn't it the same case in the WNBA? Why is Cathy Engelbert changing the rules to make sure Angel Reese is happy, to make sure Angel Reese is comfortable? Last I checked, this was a job. Work does not care about your feelings. You know, on one hand, I kind of understand why the WNBA might not want Angel Reese speaking to the press. When she does, stuff like this happens.
People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats, I've been sexualized, I've been threatened, I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time.
First off, let me explain what's going on here since I have clearly forgotten to do so. Yesterday, in her infinite brilliance, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, she implemented a new policy that allows teams to choose 2 players to be exempt from speaking to the media on game days. The Chicago Bravado, they selected Camila Cardoso, which No big deal. I doubt there's anyone in the media looking to speak to her anyway. Now, I was thinking their second selection was going to be Kennedy Carter. For a couple of weeks, she was using Caitlin Clark's name trying to secure her 15 seconds of fame. But now that she no longer has any controversy with Katie Rue, there's no reason for the media to speak to Chen Carter. But no. The bravado. They made her available to the media. Now, how many in the media are utilizing her availability? If I had to guess, I would go with none. The second player that the bravado exempted from speaking to the media was Angel Reese. Why? That doesn't make any sense. For starters, I thought Angel Reese said that she wants to be remembered. She wants a legacy. How are you going to be remembered if you're not being promoted? Look, I understand not wanting to speak to the media. I mean, the industry is a fungus. It's filled with parasites looking to make money by creating controversy. But I hate to break it to Angel Reese, and especially the WNBA. You're not in a position to decide when and where the media covers you. You don't have that type of leverage. For decades, the mainstream media has completely ignored you. Sure, they pretended to promote you. They have tried to convince people that your league offers the best basketball in the world, but the media, they were not showing up to your games. If a media outlet even had a reporter covering the WNBA, it was one reporter covering the entire league. It wasn't like the NBA where each team has a beat reporter or multiple beat reporters. In the dump, the entire league was lucky to have one reporter. And now that the media is actually willing to cover you, you want to restrict their access to the only player in Chicago that people care about? You cannot be a superstar player and not speak to the media. It just doesn't work that way. Do you see the NBA limiting access to LeBron James? Draymond Green in front of a microphone, it can be a disaster waiting to happen. But I don't see Adam Silver limiting the media's access to Dre. Why? Because for some reason, people want to hear from him. I don't understand why, but there's a lot of people who think Draymond Green is interesting. Angel Reese. She is starting to remind me of Brandon Ingram. For the past 5 or 6 years, Brandon Ingram, he has wanted to be treated like the face of the franchise. He wants to be a max contract player. He wanted to be introduced last during player introductions. He wanted all the perks that come along with being the face of the franchise. The problem is, he didn't want the responsibility. You can't accept the perks without accepting the responsibility. I watched every Pelicans game this season, and last season, and the season before. Obviously, I am a glutton for punishment. Now, most nights, I would watch the pre- and post-game press conferences. I watched the interviews from shoot-around where the media is given access to the players. Countless times, I would see Trey Murphy speaking to the media. Herb Jones, one of the most beloved players on the team, and I wish he would be here his entire career, but the Pelicans, they are probably going to have to trade him if they want any chance of getting Trae Young. Hell, Jose Alvarado constantly spoke to the media. I got a lot of respect for Jose Alvarado, but he is barely qualified to be in the NBA. That dude is speaking to the media. Not Brandon Ingram, though. No. Just like Angel Reese, Brandon Ingram, he didn't want to speak to the media because he doesn't like it. That's one thing I respect about Zion Williamson. Didn't matter if the Pels won or lost. Didn't matter if the Pels were humiliated against the Lakers, lost by 40 points on national television. After every game, Zion Williamson spoke to the media. That's what star players do. That's what they're supposed to do. The casual fan doesn't give a shit about Jose Alvarado. The casual fan doesn't care about Kennedy Carter. They care about Angel Reese. This decision, it is absolutely unbelievable from the WNBA. There are 144 players in this league? You got one player that damn near the entire country cares about. But you have another player that doesn't generate the same level of interest, but she is capable of generating some interest. And because she doesn't like speaking to the media, you cave to her demands? You cater to her feelings? For years, we have talked about the entitlement that is prevalent throughout the WNBA. This right here, this is a prime example of that entitlement. How many of you guys at your job are allowed to pick and choose what you want to do? Maybe you work in accounting. You're responsible for payables and receivables. A lot of people don't like calling delinquent customers and demanding that they pay their bill. For a lot of people, that can be really uncomfortable. Does your company care that it makes you uncomfortable? No. The only thing they care about is getting their damn money. They don't care about your comfort. They don't care about your feelings. If you walked into your boss's office and told them that you just weren't doing collections anymore, they would say, okay, fine. We'll find someone who will. You'd find yourself in the welfare line next to the minimum wage earners in the WNBA. For years, this league has begged for equity. They have begged to be treated the same way that players in the NBA are treated. Remember that? Remember when WNBA players were begging for chartered flights? Remember when they were comparing their salaries to top salaries in the NBA? During that time, they kept throwing the word equity around. We just want to be treated fairly. We want equitable treatment. Now, of course, they didn't want to generate the money required for that equitable treatment. They just wanted it to be handed to them. When it comes to speaking to the media, all of a sudden, they're no longer worried about equity. They no longer want to be treated the same as NBA players. Once again, WNBA players, they are looking for special treatment. You know, I have seen some people claim that Angel Reese should be more featured on national television. Maybe this is one of the reasons that she's not. Hell, Angel Reese, she's not selling out home games in Chicago. The Bravado, they are in the middle of the WNBA when it comes to attendance. You cannot be a draw without the media. I don't care how many social media followers you have. I don't care how many lonely dudes like your pictures on Instagram. You cannot be an asset to the league if you are shielding yourself from the media. But give me your thoughts on this. WNBA changes its policy and protects Angel Reese. She doesn't like speaking to the media, and now she doesn't have to. Is this a smart move by the WNBA? I mean, how are you going to grow your league if your high-profile players aren't speaking to the press? Someone please make it make sense. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.